Welcome, guys, to another episode of Over the Top Talk. I'm here with my co-host Anthony.
How we doing? How we doing?
We're joined here today by two of our friends, Leo and Mike. How we guys doing?
I'm feeling good. I mean, we're very close to Mania, so I mean, that feeling as a wrestling fan is there.
Yep,
Oh, yeah,
3 weeks
I'm ready.
away now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Just gonna
Yep,
start.
yep,
Me
yep.
and Anthony are just gonna do our sponsorships real quick. Thank you, SeatGeek. Make sure to use Over the Top Talk, guys, for the code, and you'll get $20 off any ticket purchase, whether it's sports, concerts, anything like that. So make sure to use our
Yep.
code Over the Top Talk, and you'll get $20 off.
Yep. And thank you for Rogue Energy. Use the code over the top talk and get 10% off your order on all flavors and yep.
Welcome, Ninja Boy.
Hey guys, what's up? Hey Leo, bro.
So
How's your night
Yo.
going, Ninja?
All good. I just came back from a date, so I'm all good.
Amazing.
Nice.
So I guess we can start with how do we feel about No Yeet versus Yeet, Jimmy versus Jay?
as somebody
Yeah.
that was there, I was there live when he made the announcement that he was challenging Jimmy. I like the fact that he came out there and announced it, but I feel like I wanted to see more build up. Only because we know who's gonna win. We know Jay is gonna win. Jimmy hasn't really been built up to even look like a threat. He seems like he's just that side character that just takes all the losses in the bloodline. He's just a joke to me. I'm as much as that it pains me to say, he's been treated as a joke because you literally turn on your brother after he helped you, after you're the one that made the first move. You're the one that initiated the first move at Night of Champions, and then you told Jay to leave, and he left. And then you join right back up with the bloodline. So it's like, what are we doing? It feels like we went 3 steps forward and took 4 steps back. And then he costed him 3 title opportunities. And Jay really just sat back and not really wanted to get his revenge up until this point. So it's like, I don't know.
I'll chime in on
Yeah.
this. I respectfully, I got to say, I would disagree because if you argue that Jimmy, hasn't really been built up, I mean, yeah, Jay has been built up with promos and segments and his overall presentation, but
Mhm.
neither of those two brothers have had a lot of wins since they've split. And I would say that the build itself with this whole brother versus brother, Yeet versus no Yeet, is something that you could really sink your teeth in because you said it yourself. He screwed him over 3 times. He initiated the initial turning on the tribal chief only to screw over his brother because maybe the story, we haven't seen it yet, is it's all about the jealousy between brother and brother. So I disagree. I'd say both guys have really had big wins since they've split. But I do see where you say, Jimmy kind of has taken a lot of the pinfalls for the bloodline, especially when, stuff with Solo and Roman particularly. But I wouldn't say that he's a clown and don't overlook that.
Actually, Anthony, how do we feel with that?
Well, I agree with both of them. Like both their takes. They have like a bunch of good points in each take. So obviously what Leo was saying, like Jimmy kind of being like a clown type thing. I agree with that to an extent. I think the Bloodline storyline's got a little dry recently. That's just my opinion. I think it's got a little dry up until like The Rock coming back and stuff. But I also agree with Mike's storyline. Like this is something like huge. Like this is a dream match people have had. Jimmy versus Jey Uso. Like we can sink our teeth into this. It's going to be a huge match. But I think the best thing they can do to it is put a stipulation onto it. If it's like a no DQ match, like they need to get to that at this point. Like it's getting so personal. It's getting to the point where it's like a blood rivalry, like literally and figuratively. So I think if we see it like that, that's a great selling point, and we could probably see one of the best matches of the night with that.
All right, I'll pass it to Ninja Boy now.
So Yeet versus no Yeet. Well, number one, Jimmy Uso's a freaking 40-84 in the game. Like, what the hell is wrong with that, dude? He's at least an 89. Like, they shouldn't have changed him to lower. Like, I mean, Jay kind of deserved to stay at 90. But back to my point, I am on Yeet for WrestleMania. I'm on Yeet for WrestleMania all the way. I know Jay's going to win. He still needs some more build-up. People are saying he's never going to be a world champion. He's going to be a world champion eventually. But I do see him winning the Intercontinental title after WrestleMania. I see Jimmy Uso becoming a main event star on SmackDown, and I see the Usos reuniting in, let's say, a year or two. Or right now, I think they still need to go on their single paths without the bloodline. Jimmy Uso, U.S. champion. Jey Uso, Intercontinental champion. And let's just see how that goes. And as I'm saying, I'm Jey Uso, yeet, for WrestleMania.
Amazing. I'm
Yeah.
also on Team Eat, obviously. I hope we see some very good promos because I think these two brothers will just completely cook each other in the promos. So, hoping to see that. Sticking us, do we think we're gonna see a stipulation for this match? Like maybe last Uso standing, street fight, anything like that?
Honestly, I say tribal combat. I say tribal combat and let them kind of be able to have some type of extreme element to the match. I was thinking they probably could do this with the Roman stuff, but I really think if they're going to give them a stipulation for Jay and Jimmy, I do think it should be like a bloodline based type of match. So I would say definitely doing a tribal combat match is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
I think
isn't that
Crown
going to
with
be
that.
the match for the Cody versus Roman match if they
Well, that
lose the
one's bloodline
Yeah,
rules, so
exactly.
everybody's involved. Everybody's involved in that one. Or they could do Philadelphia street fight. I feel like a Philadelphia street fight would definitely could be a something I could also see happening. Because Philadelphia, they're going to want to do some extreme type matches on the card on some of these
Absolutely.
matches. So if any one of them is going to get this, I do think it's going to be Jay versus Jimmy.
Yeah.
I could see it. I lean depending upon what happens with the LWO and the Legado del Fantasma story. I could
Yeah.
also see that possibly become a 6-on-6 Philly street fight or a 6-person mixed tag. Same thing with
Mhm.
Cross and Final Testament and the Almighty Prophets. I don't know if Jimmy and Jay will get a stipulation. I have seen that idea tossed around. I wouldn't be opposed to it, especially in Philly. You hit the nail on the head about that. Definitely some sort of Extreme Rules match for a Philly Mania has to be in the cards.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Moving
Yeah.
along here. Obviously hearing the Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. What are you
I don't
guys'
like
thoughts on that? I'll start with Ninja Boy up there.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
like
like.
the Logan
Hmm?
Paul fanboy.
Oh no, it's not just that, dude. Like Randy Orton, his match got turned to a fatal 4-way at the Royal Rumble, and now he again gets a singles title match ruined. Like, what if we could get a 1-on-1 title match? Like,
I mean, it
geez.
makes sense why they did it though.
Yeah. It makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Because like everything that kind of played off with Elimination Chamber, with Randy pinning Logan, getting him eliminated, Logan not really agreeing with a lot of things that happened, and then there's still some unfinished business with Kevin Owens. So there's two sides to the coin on that one. I really feel like how this is going to play out. On it, unfortunately, I don't see Logan Paul dropping it at Mania. I really feel like this is a way to keep the
Hmm.
title on him and keep him looking strong. And if he does pin Randy Orton, that is a huge deal. That is a huge deal. Now with SummerSlam being announced for Cleveland, Ohio, and he is from Cleveland, Ohio, I wouldn't be surprised if he was to hold that U.S. championship all the way to SummerSlam at this point.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah. I can
Mhm.
see that. Definitely.
obviously we think Logan's gonna win. Does
Yeah.
anyone have any other opinions on that?
I mean, the biggest thing as to, with Randy's matches being made into fatal 4-ways at the Rumble and now the triple threat, I also have to feel that it could just be a precaution on WWE side.
Yeah.
That back injury, 556 days he was gone, spine,
They wanna play it
back
safe.
fusion. Yeah, they have to play it space. That's why we've seen a lot of Randy's matches be tag matches, him and KO versus the A-Town Down Under, the Royal Rumble fatal 4-way, and now the triple threat. So I do think they can definitely spin that off into a story, and maybe Randy, Kevin eats the pin. Randy's pissed about it. You get little heel
Then a
Randy back,
backlash or
and
something.
yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of the matches you could think at Mania are probably gonna like spill over to Backlash because some of the matches are gonna be. I feel like that's how they always do with Mania. Some of the stuff that
Yeah.
we see at Mania is gonna spoil over to Backlash and kind of set things up for like the summertime. So I definitely think that's kind of the route that they're kind of going. And like you said, Randy, since he came back, they want to play it safe with him. They don't want to throw him in the deep end and he gets hurt again because then what? You got to play it safe. Like I know a lot of people want to see him in these big matches, maybe him being in Money in the Bank again, but I don't see him being in a Money in the Bank anytime soon, only because they have to play it safe with him,
Yeah.
especially if they want him to still be around for the next like 5-6 years.
Yeah,
It's all
I
Exactly.
about
totally agree with that.
longevity in this game.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yep.
Um, obviously, the last match that was announced last night was obviously the AJ Styles versus LA Knight, which I just don't really. I don't know. I feel like this match is going to be really underwhelming, like
Chairs
extremely
match.
underwhelming.
I think this might be a chairs match
This could be your
because
Extreme Rules match. This could be
it
your
could
Extreme
be.
Rules match for Philly.
It could be because AJ, he's got to be hater of the year because this man flew over 30+ hours just to hit this man, cost this man a title. That's got to be hater of the year right there. But I do think this match could be interesting. I feel like both of these guys have been the very best at what they do. I think a lot of people have seemed to forgot how good AJ really is when given the green light to do something. And I think
Mhm.
LA Knight with this improvement that he's had over the last year, I think these two could definitely make a great match and really work with their given. And honestly, I think even recently, AJ he even said before he retires he wants one more world title run. This could be a way to show that he still can hang with the bigger guys, with the main event players. So I really do think that this is going to be a great match. I think this is going to be one of the matches that I might look back on and say that could have been one of the best matches of WrestleMania weekend. We could honestly, legitimately be saying that in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Definitely.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
I'll switch this to Anthony. Who do we think's gonna win?
Well, like Leo said, this could be a way to build up AJ Styles, so he's like a main event player. Or they could give it to LA Knight. LA Knight's been kind of seeming weak recently, not in like a bad way, but he's been kind of going lower down. He used to be like a main event level at like Royal Rumble and stuff, even before that. But since like for the past couple of months, he's been kind of like taking the low road. But I think given this match to LA Knight, him overcoming AJ Styles would be the best
Mm-hmm.
way to go, in my opinion. But yeah, what Leo said, I can totally see him going AJ too. So I think I can go either way.
I mean,
Definitely
it's his
either way.
first WrestleMania match. His first WrestleMania. I mean, LA Knight's
Yeah,
competing at his first WrestleMania. He didn't compete last year, so I mean, you got to go all out, honestly, with him. But I feel like you
yeah,
said he. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like he kind of does look weak, but I think the problem is with how Roman's schedule is, you don't really see the world title. So the opportunity for him to actually become a world champion on SmackDown is kind of far and gone at this point. I feel like if he's going to be a world champion, I say maybe if we have a draft this year, send him to Raw. I think this gives him more time to kind of work. And honestly, if Seth does lose that title, it kind of opens up the opportunity for people like Drew, the people like LA Knight even to actually get another world title run under the belt, even AJ, like because now we won't be really seeing these long championship reigns as much. I feel like we'll probably be seeing more of those transitional reigns that's like 3-4 months. And I think someone like a LA Knight can definitely work with like a 3-4 month title reign. So I do think he's gonna be a world champion, but I feel like if that's gonna happen, it's gonna probably be on the Raw brand compared to SmackDown.
hmm
Easily. I'll move it to
yeah.
Mike. Do you have any thoughts on that match?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Obviously.
I'm excited for this match, man. Like I was at LA Mania last year, and it was a highway robbery that this dude was in Andre the Giant Battle Memorial Royal on the Friday before WrestleMania. We were in LA for WrestleMania, and
And no LA
LA
Knight.
Knight could not make the card. Same thing with Bobby
Yeah.
Lashley. Those two frustrated me last year. I'm excited for this. This is your official breakout, party for LA Knight. It happened over the summer, but this is it. You guys can agree to this. Everybody watching this, on your platforms can agree to this. AJ
Mhm.
Styles is one of the best professional wrestlers we have ever seen in
Yeah.
any generation of professional
Mhm.
wrestling. For
Yeah.
LA Knight to have his first WrestleMania match against, the phenomenal one, I think is perfect. Their feud, that promo AJ Styles cut a few weeks ago, that intense backstage, they focused right up on him. That sold me on the match right there. Those two,
Mhm.
you hit the nail on the head. AJ Styles definitely in contention for Player Hater of the Year for 2024. And I think LA Knight staples his spot in WWE at WrestleMania with a big win over Styles. And I agree with Leo. If we do a shakeup or a draft, I think LA Knight gets shipped over to Raw and gets right up in that world title picture. And I think that's why we didn't see LA Knight get injected into the US title picture, because they feel if he's going to compete for the undisputed title, maybe that looks like more of a backlog down for LA Knight to go to the US title picture when you already have kind of established talent feuding for it with KO and Logan and Randy. So I think this could be the big win. Get him over to Raw in a month or two after Mania, and then now he's in the world title picture. So I agree. I think LA Knight will be a world champ as well. And I think this match has the potential to be a solid match. I think this is a good match, maybe for like night one, open the show, crowd, LA Knight. You hear that WrestleMania, you go, yeah. I think it's a good way to set
They're
the
gonna
trend.
go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
Obviously, like we said, it takes a lot of time with these guys, and obviously last year at Money in the Bank, we all wanted LA Knight to win.
Oh,
but
yeah.
obviously Priest
Yeah.
took that, so we've been waiting. He went against Roman, obviously wasn't going to win that. So I think this is a really good opportunity to get him a win in Mania, and maybe from there build his character a little bit more. He'll have a win at Mania, so easily. And I hope we do see him go for that world heavyweight champion someday. So. I'll pass it to Ninja Boy to have his thoughts on that.
Okay, so LA Knight, I want him to win a WrestleMania, no doubt. If AJ wins, I'm throwing a chair at someone in my household. Hopefully, I won't get grounded. Except I probably will if that happens. But I think LA Knight should have faced Logan Paul. Like, that match should have been the match to happen this year at WrestleMania. I don't know why it's not happening. I'm really frustrated that's not happening. And now we're getting Randy Orton versus Logan. And I already gave you guys my thoughts on that. Back to LA Knight. I feel like he deserved a bigger match. Like, even in the world title picture, make that match a triple threat. I feel like that would have been the bigger match for LA Knight, not AJ Styles. But I got LA Knight getting the W. Those are my thoughts.
Easily.
Wait. I want to butt in real quick on this.
Yeah.
About this. I think LA Knight versus AJ Styles is a huge match. I think that's like a contention. That's bigger than the US title match, in my opinion, because AJ Styles, former world champion, we forget he's a hidden gem in the company. We forget he was a finalist against Seth Rollins for the world heavyweight title. He's done so much for this company that we forget about. We all forget about it. But he is a hidden gem, and if we give him time to shine, he's gonna do something crazy. He's gonna give us a 5-star match, and yeah, just
easily.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Easily.
Yeah, don't sleep on AJ Styles. Do not.
That's
sleep
it,
on
dude. You hit it right there.
Easily.
People forget how much he carried SmackDown
In 2016.
in 16,
Yeah.
17, 18.
He was-
carried that show.
He was
So-
literally
Yeah.
that guy. Like, he carried that show on his back. Like, literally, when you think of SmackDown, you think of every time he said it, this is the house that he built, and he did it. He did it by being phenomenal night after night, giving some of us the best matches. He came in, people thought he was going to be a jobber, but what did
Yep.
he do? He, in his rookie year, he became WWE World Champion. He beat John Cena in his first feud. He beat Moxley to become World Champion. He done it all. He's won the US. He's won the Intercontinental. He had a great match with Daniel Bryan in the pandemic era. What are we talking about?
He had a tag team title run with Omos.
Okay,
Exactly, yeah.
that's one of the
You know what I'm
things I
saying?
want to forget. I mean,
That wasn't as bad as.
Yeah, the title.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
it
wasn't
was
bad.
but it's like, I mean, he even went down to NXT. I was thinking, when he came down to NXT, I was thinking he's going to win that NXT championship, honestly. But unfortunately, that was not the case. But still, he did have some great matches, and I think people still look back on his career, and it kind of gets lost in the shuffle when you see all these newer talent signing. I think before his career's over, I want to see this match. AJ Styles versus CM Punk for the World Championship. Give
Hell yeah.
that to me on any pay-per-view, and I am already going to watch.
Yep.
That's a dream. The last
That
time they
is.
faced each other was Ring of Honor.
Sign me up.
Yep, definitely.
And I'll go to a question in the chat here. Do we think Liv Morgan or Dakota Kai are going to get spots for Mania?
Dakota, that one's a tricky one. Dakota's a tricky one because she's. I know. Somebody throw this idea to me that she could be playing a double agent and then turns back to be on the side of Bailey. But my thing is, I don't really like that idea. And we already knew that she was going to turn. We already know, and this I've said this so many times. Dakota Kai is the Randy Orton of the women's division. She just turns on everybody. Anybody that gets close to her, she's turning on them. You ask Tegan Knox, go ask her. Raquel Rodriguez, go ask her. Now Bailey, you can ask her. Anybody that tries to team with her or be friends with her, she turns on them. And
Yep.
like me personally, I feel like the best way they could have executed is keep her on the side of Bailey and then wait till Mania and then you pull the trigger at Mania itself because that would have been a huge pop that she literally cost Bailey the title at Mania. That would have been a huge talking point. But I see what they're trying to do. They want to tell the story with Bailey that she has no friends and who is really going to side with her now that all the stuff that she's caused in the women's division over the last couple of years, who's really ready to stand on her side after everything that's happened. So I think that's the story that they're trying to tell. We see Naomi kind of get in the mix. You have Bianca possibly going to probably get in the mix. We don't know. She's kind of on the fences right now. We can see Jade Cargill get in the mix. I really felt like, honestly, I wanted to see Bianca and Jade be on the same side, go after the tag titles. But I think right now, as it stands, it's probably going to be Naomi and Jade Cargill going up against the Kabuki Warrior for the tag titles and being on the side of Bailey heading into Mania.
Yep.
I'm just gonna
Definitely.
throw this out there. Do we think for the women's titles? Do you think it's gonna be obviously you said it's a singles, but do you think there's gonna be multiple teams competing for that women's tag team championships?
Honestly, I can see it. I really could see it, and that's one of the things that I feel like is a great benefit of having two nights of Mania. It allows more people to kind of actually get on the card, and it feels more digestible as a wrestling fan than it being like an 8 hour show when it feels like they're just trying to cram everybody into one night. But now having it span over 2 nights, it gives more longevity for more stories being told. I feel like this is something that's been a staple for WrestleMania. I feel like since like I want to say WrestleMania 37 that we've had multi women tag teams competing. Honestly, I would like to see them kind of do what they did at 37. We have multiple tag teams compete in a match, and whoever
Mhm.
wins, they face the champions on night two. I think that would have been a great idea, but I feel like you're probably going to have a lot of different tag teams. Honestly, what we've seen recently being told on Raw with the tag titles or the undisputed tag team championships, I feel like they should do a ladder match. I think if the men should get a tag title ladder match, let the women get some time and do a ladder match. They can create some great spots and do a lot of great things in the match. Honestly,
I
I'll
wouldn't be
switch
mad
over
at
to
that at all.
Mike.
I wouldn't be mad
how
at
do
all
we-
at that at a multi-women's ladder match for the tag titles. This is a tough one because I've sat for a few weeks and I've kind of watched everything, watched how things progressed, watched where Jade showed up. You know, she showed up predominantly on SmackDown the last couple times. Even got into it a little bit on social media with the Kabuki Warriors. I lean in that same direction. Bianca Belair, we watched the product. We know Bianca Belair was absolutely terrorized.
Yes.
Terrorized.
yeah, she was getting beat up the entire
She's
last
getting
year.
beat up week after week by Damage Control. There is no chance in hell she's saving Bailey. This is Bailey's comeuppance. This is her karma. You know, that's the T, as they say.
She made her
Jade and
bed, she gotta lay in it.
Naomi exactly. She made her bed. She's got to lay in it, like she said. Jade and Naomi makes a lot of sense. As for that Liv Morgan, I do want to address the Liv Morgan comment from Eric. Liv Morgan is a peculiar one because she just,
We won't live. Sorry.
she's a peculiar one because she comes back Royal Rumble. We're already heating up on the build to WrestleMania now. If you're watching, on the platforms, you watch the product, a lot of what we're seeing at WrestleMania has been built that past summer. We saw a lot of these builds slowly in the background of programming. Jimmy and Jay was one that you could say sprouted up early as the summer with people saying that's the Mania match. Sure enough, boom, here you go. Obviously, Seth and CM Punk was the original. Now you go to Drew. Same thing. Cody Roman, obviously, there was something there. we don't even
for
want to get
years.
into that.
Yeah,
Right. Liv Morgan is the peculiar one because does she have enough time? Do they have enough time to build her into the card? Possibly. I know a lot of people want Liv. I heard Ninja Boy, with his chant. But let me ask you guys a question.
hmm
How long have we waited for Rhea and Becky 1v1? One on
I
one.
really feel like they've been trying to tell
Last
that
match they had
feud.
was
I mean
NXT.
the last time they faced was NXT in 2019 when they were doing SmackDown versus Raw versus NXT. And I think they've really been building this feud with the teases. I think since like before last year's Mania, or
Yep.
right after she won the title last year. But I do see where a lot of people come with the Liv argument because that story is there, and I wouldn't be upset if they were to do the multi-woman match idea because I know because like me personally, I wanted to see Liv in this situation, and when was there and I seen the match and she lost clean, I'm on the fence of like, okay, yeah, it's gonna probably just be Becky Rhea versus 101. But the way they've been building up and adding these other stories within the feud, I feel like they're going in that multi-woman idea only because you have two things you got to think about in a longevity of things. Because one, Rhea Ripley is going to be taking some time off to get married to Buddy Matthews, and Becky, she said herself she wants to take some time off to focus on her book, kind of spend more time with her daughter. So that you got to take that into a factor as well. So I do think they're gonna probably do this multi-woman idea because
How
it's
long are they
like
going
if
to be
you
gone for?
well, probably I think for Becky, probably like for a couple of months. Rhea, probably not too long.
I mean, they
Because
just got engaged though, Rhea
like,
and Buddy.
but their
Yeah.
wedding is this year
And
though.
typically, I mean, from a if I'll say it, but typically a wedding takes anywhere from like 2 to 3 years to plan. So I mean, if they got engaged last year, you're talking maybe she's going to be out 2025, 2026, depending
Yeah,
upon
that's
how they
true.
decide to do it. Weddings do take some time to plan, so I wouldn't bank on Rhea being out, for her wedding anytime soon. Becky is the one. Yeah, I could see Becky taking some time off, spend some time with her family, her kid. Same thing with Seth. If Seth loses the title at WrestleMania,
Yeah.
I see Seth and Becky taking some time off together. He can recoup some of the injuries. She can kind of take it easy. They can spend time with their daughter. The point I'm trying to make about Liv is that I think Liv's WrestleMania path, and you might not like it, guys. I think Liv versus Nia Jax is happening at WrestleMania. And I think Rhea and Becky will stay a one-on-one match. They've avoided those two locking it up for a while. That's a big
hmm
money match. Everybody wants to see the man versus mommy.
And I agree with you there. I think a lot of people, they come across, Live, and they say like that story's there since they've been building up for over 2+ years at this point. And and one thing people kind of tend to forget, I feel like one of the things, if you were to have her face Nia Jax and she beats Nia, that's a huge deal. That's a huge David versus Goliath storyline that you can honestly tell between the two. Now that this new version of Liv Morgan is now in front of our television screens, and the possibility of her turning heel in the near future, I wouldn't be upset about that if they turn. And one thing she said on Raw, she told Rhea to her face, "I'm gonna take everything you love piece by piece." She literally told her that. So I would be on the fence of if they were to turn Rhea face and let Liv, be a heel. I think that'd be a great dynamic now that the roles are now reversed. And I really feel like if you were to take this whole year to build her up, I really feel like this should be the year to build Liv to that main event level because if you look at her record, right, she's came up close in the past two Rumbles. The past two Rumbles, she's come up very close. She was the runner up in the past two, and she was the run up in the Chamber this past year. So I really feel like you could build this up, and honestly, if you were to build up correctly, I would be a, I would bank on her winning the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble and have her match there.
There it is.
Or if you want to do it this year, let it happen at maybe SummerSlam or happen at maybe Backlash because Backlash fits the whole feud, honestly. Because I think everybody's been pointing the finger at Backlash, but we'll kind of have to see how that goes. But I think SummerSlam would make a great opportunity for them to kind of go at it. But I think maybe next year WrestleMania 41, I think could definitely be the place for it to happen, especially if she wins that 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. Because at some point she's got to win. Like you just don't have people go back to back runner up and they don't win in the end. Honestly. a lot of people may be making that kind of argument that she's pretty much the Jeff Hardy of the women's division. She comes very close to like winning the championship, but not quite there. We think about 2008, Jeff Hardy when he came so close to win that WWE championship so many different times until they eventually pulled the trigger, and it was a great moment. I think this is a way to build her up because I think if you look at the landscape of the women's division, she's kind of close to being that upper tier where we want her to be. And I think it sucks to say that if this was a women's mid card title, she would definitely can be in that conversation of being the first to hold that title. Honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like it sucks that the women don't have a women's mid card title because it will allow other women to kind of get in the mix without them being fed to the upper main eventers or being put in a random tag team that's really not going to go anywhere and it's only just for that week or just for that month and that's it. Like this gives a way to build up the different women like Zia Lee, Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, like Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark gives them something to do, something to fight for while the other people in the upper mid card main event like tier are fighting for those women's championships. It gives something for the mid and lower card talent to do because women shouldn't just be floundering and just put in a match just to be put in a match. And when we know there's no build up, there's nothing to get the fans excited about what's going on. When we know for a fact, 9 times out of 10, we know the outcome. Look at Rhea's Ripley's reign. She hasn't really faced anybody that comes as a threat to her reign until she got to Raquel Rodriguez last summer, and that was it. She had that fatal 5-way, but it didn't come off as a big test for her because nobody really stood a chance of taking that title. And now you have Becky. This is a true test right now as it stands in the women's division. So I think this could be a way to kind of hopefully they do implement that at some point. Maybe just wishful thinking, but I think, like you said, Mike, I do think this could be the year to build Liv Morgan to being that main event
Yeah.
WrestleMania caliber talent.
I mean, she's a former women's champ. We know she
Yeah.
won the SmackDown Women's Championship. She cashed in on Ronda Rousey. She had multiple victories over Ronda Rousey. They were really doing things well with her. But and the unfortunate part is that whether it was the booking of WWE at the time with her SmackDown Championship or it was just fan reaction, it dwindled very fast, and the fans
Hmm.
kind of fell out of favor with her. She got hurt, obviously, and that's a big blow to anybody's wrestling career.
Yeah.
Taking time off for an injury. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense that Triple H loves his long-term storytelling, and what's a great story to tell than Liv Morgan being the bridesmaid, not the bride, twice in the Royal Rumble, So I could see Liv Morgan 2025 Royal Rumble winner takes on whoever the champ may be at that point. But yeah, it should be very interesting. I can see, now I'll ask the three of you guys here,
Hmm.
when you look at the WrestleMania matches and you look at the card that's been presented to us at this current moment, at the very moment we have two women's matches in clear and cut, Bayley and Io and Becky and
Hmm.
Rhea. Now we
Yeah.
obviously know that the tag titles for the women will be defended in some capacity. We've seen that. Now those are three women's match on a 2-night WrestleMania card. Where are your other singles matches? Obviously Bianca has to be involved. We know
Yeah.
potentially Naomi, Jade, Tiffany Stratton, what do you guys feel are going to be your singles women's matches, if
Honestly,
there are any?
I would have been okay if they would have done Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca. I think that would have been a great feud to really see
Yeah.
where Tiffany Stratton stands if she can get a big win over someone like that. Um, I know people don't like the battle royal ideas, and maybe with Triple H, one thing he does, he makes some of the matches feel important. Me personally, I would have felt like if he would have brought in a title, like a mid card title, like I mentioned earlier, you could have made a case for this being a battle royal, and the winner becomes the inaugural, women's intercontinental champion,
I
or
saw
at the
someone
stakes.
even spitball it. Sorry to interrupt you. I even saw someone spitball it with the China, Memorial Battle Royal, like they did for Andre the Giant, and have the Women's Intercontinental Championship under that moniker. So
I think that'd be a great idea too. I think if he were to add some stakes, I say whoever wins the battle royal gets a women's championship opportunity of their choosing. I think this adds a lot of stake because this gives something to be at stake for the women. Why are they fighting for this opportunity? Because if you're on Raw, you can go after the women's world champion, whoever that is. If it's Becky Lynch or Rhea Ripley, if it's going to be Io and or Bayley, whoever's going to win the battle royal, you could choose that story, and that story
Mm.
going into Backlash is whoever won the Battle Royal gets the challenge for that title at Backlash. So if, for instance, like we said earlier with Liv Morgan, if she was to win that battle royal, this could be a way to get her in the mix, because I really realistically feel like who's ever walking out of that women's world championship title match, they're gonna have Liv Morgan right after Mania. I feel
Mhm.
like at some point in the near future, especially if she's turning heel, because she's gonna be turning heel like within the next couple of weeks to the next couple of months. By the summertime, she's already gonna be a heel. So this gonna be something really interesting. So I would love for them to do a women's mid card title. I want to see them. They deserve a women's mid
They
card
do.
title. They
Yeah.
really do. And if you were to make it even more important to crown the first champion, the champion can defend it or defends it on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. All
Thank
three
you.
brands. All three brands get an opportunity and a crack at that championship. It's defended on every brand. You can see this if you're on main roster, it doesn't really matter. It could show up on either show, or if you're at a pay per view. If you're in NXT, maybe the champion gets called out for a match at NXT or a special event or at an NXT pay per view. That is going to help the longevity of the women's as a whole going forward. So I do think a women's mid card championship desperately needs to be implemented sooner rather than later.
Now the question with that, I like this. This is a big topic. This is a topic that
Hmm.
I'm a big proponent of, an advocate for that women's mid card title. Now, if they do introduce a women's mid card title, do you get rid of the women's tag team titles?
Um,
Do you
I
keep
feel
the
like
tag division?
I feel like you keep the tag division because I feel like
That's how I feel too. You can't take a whole title division away from them, right?
no, because I feel like you have your main eventers, you have you have a decent enough tag team division
Like
right now that they've
have
been
NXT tag division, and for the women's,
yeah, because the women's titles to be defended on all
And
three brands
yeah,
anyway,
the
yeah,
NXT women's tag division, they had a great division, and then they went and unified
and
the
they
women's
just
tag
got
team.
defended.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
They
was
just
the
got defended
stupidest
in
thing.
NXT.
Yeah.
So if you actually implement a mid card title, like I said, it gives so many different women something to fight for. Because you have your Liv Morgans, you have your like your Zaya Lees, your Raquel Rodriguez, your Dakota Kai's, your Asukas,
I
your
missed the
Jay
24/7
Cargills. You have those different your Nia Jax of the
Yeah.
world. You have different women who are just floundering and really don't have anything to do. I really feel like if you were to crown a new champion at Mania, honestly, I say do a ladder match. I say I do a ladder match. You announce this and you have. I know we're so close to Mania, and maybe it's a situation where like how they do when like a couple years ago when they did these matches, they actually had different people who were floundering and they put them in a match and for a title. I think this would be something great to see happen on screen with a lot of the women that are in the women's division and just let them go at it in a ladder match to crown the first ever champion. I think that would be something pretty interesting because it's like you see a lot of the women right now who I feel like realistically should have a spot in Mania, but don't. Like we said it earlier, Raquel Rodriguez, she's not in at Mania, and I think she's somebody that I would love to see what she can do at Mania. Um, I'm pretty sure Shayna Baszler and Zoe are probably gonna be in the tag title picture. So you have different people that's there that I want to see have that spot, but it's like it's really not realistic to put them on the card with the women's championship matches because they it wouldn't make sense. I think the only one that you can honestly put in the women's title picture right now that would be somewhat of making sense is Liv. That's the only
Mm.
one I can make a caveat for just because the history that she does have with Rhea and everything that's been playing out with Becky as of late. And then now you have Nia Jax in the mix as well if they want to do that Fatal 4 idea. But like Mike said, I'm all for that Liv Morgan and Nia Jax storyline. I think a lot of people off the bat, they don't want to see that because they feel
No.
like is Nia Jax looks more dominant than Liv, and it's like, how are you going to make Liv look believable when that's one of the biggest problems that they have been having with Liv Morgan is putting her in a lot of these situations where she doesn't really seem believable to get the win overall. So I think this would be a great way to build her up, like not to sleep on her because she can pull out a win against anybody. Look what the year she's had already. She eliminated Jade Cargill from the Royal Rumble.
Mm.
Nobody else can say they've done that. She just pinned Bianca Belair in the chamber. Like you just pinned two of your most strongest women in the division right now, and you had Liv Morgan be the one to do it. So it's not when, it's how they do it. So I really feel like you said, Mike, with the mid card title idea, I think it needs to be implemented at Mania. They have to do something.
As much as I want to see it happen, I just don't think it's. I think we as fans, we're really fantasy booking that. But if it were to happen, I think that's going to happen post Mania when we hit that lull. We always hit that little bit of a hangover. We always have WrestleMania hangover. You have Mania comes and you have Backlash right after it, and then you have kind of like that little bit of lull where you're like, oh man,
yeah, because you have your draft and everything like that.
Exactly. So I think you could run a tournament for that effectively post Mania.
If they were to
keep
do it,
fans involved. If that were to happen,
Easily.
obviously we don't know. Obviously we're here. We have the same knowledge as everybody else, but it's something that you hear it right here. No matter how many fans you talk to, whether you're talking here with your fellow podcasters, fellow content creators, or you talk to a fan, who just watches it, they say the same thing. A mid-card title for the women's division is something that we want to see. So let's see. Let's hopefully it happens, WWE.
I want to see another women's pay-per-view, all women's pay-per-view.
Oh, there you go. Another one.
If they were to do Evolution 2, there you go. Best place you can do it.
Perfect.
Easily. And obviously, sticking on the topic of women's titles, I've wanted to see it for a while too. There's just so many superstars now that I feel like you would just, obviously the 2 titles plus the tag team, I feel like it just isn't enough. Plus you have one champion who hasn't defended in like 200 days or something like that with Io Sky. So obviously, I'd love to see a mid-card belt. I think there's a lot of superstars that would want to compete for it. So maybe make that match, whatever, maybe a battle royal, 6-man, whatever. But yeah, I would love to see also that all-woman pay-per-view. I think they deserve it, and I'd love to see that. So, obviously sticking with, Io Sky's title run, she's going against Bayley. Is this going to be Bayley's moment at Mania? I'll give it to Ninja Boy for this one first.
Okay, so Bayley. She deserved to win the Rumble. I'll admit that. A lot of people thought AJ Lee would come in at number 30. She didn't. So Io Sky, she's had a good title run thanks to Bayley. And yes, she backstabbed Bayley on SmackDown. She forgot who her true friends were, the OG trio of Damage Control, the OG trio. I don't know why I said trio. But, yeah, man, Io Sky, her title run's been good. Like, I'll say that. She's had a good title run. I feel like WrestleMania is where it should end. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'll pass it to Mike with that one.
Yeah, I think. Come on, let's be real here, ladies and gentlemen. All 4 of the horsewomen besides Bayley has had a certified WrestleMania moment. Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, Bayley. Bayley has yet to get her big WrestleMania moment. What was that?
Marcenes Monet.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to correct me, if you want to be a pain in the ass, go ahead. But yeah, same thing. Obviously, when she was in WWE under Sasha Banks, but nevertheless, Bayley winning at WrestleMania is the moment for Bayley. Hell, I'd love to see the inflatables pop up one more time.
I'm sorry, no.
I would love to see that. I'll agree with that.
I'd love to see it just for the vibes, bro. Just for the feelings, man. I've been a big fan of Bayley's when all the way back to NXT. I'm a hugger. You had Izzy in the front row, dressing up as her. Now she's a pro wrestler on the Indies, So I'd love to see Bayley get the win against Io. I think that match could steal the show on either night it's on because Io is tremendous. Bayley is so good when her in-ring storytelling and her selling. But yeah, I'm giving the win to Bayley, man. All 4 horsewomen would then have their certified WrestleMania moment.
Easily. And like you said, I would love to see maybe an improvised version of her song that she used to have because I really loved that song.
Such a bop, dude. Such a bop.
Love that. So obviously, I'm a huge Bayley fan. Hope she gets this moment. I think she will. I think she deserves it way more than Io Sky. So I'll pass it off to Leo for that one.
I'm kind of in agreement with everybody here. Like, she deserves her moment. I mean, like, you look at Bailey. I like to make comparisons here and there. Pretty much, this is pretty much the evolution storyline if it was all women. Because if you look at Bailey, she's that Batista like character. Like, you have that situation where, like, years ago when you had Batista win the Rumble that year, and you had that when you already knew who was the leader. Triple H was the leader of Evolution, and pretty much Batista chose Triple H to compete for that world title. They turned on Batista, and the same thing could be said with Bailey and Damage Control. And what happened in the end? Batista overcame Triple H and won it. And I feel like the same thing can be said for Bailey. Bailey is that Batista character that we can get behind if she's a heel, if she's a face. I don't understand how people can seem to sit up here and forget she carried the pandemic on her
Yep.
back when it came to women's wrestling. She carried the title the entire pandemic era. It was her. It was her. She was the A champion. She was the one carrying the entire show. She was carrying the entire company, mind you, on her
Seriously.
back. Like, so she deserves to be rewarded for her hard work that she has put in all these years to make the women's division what it is. Because she's played a huge factor in the evolution of women's wrestling and the progression of women's wrestling and what it's going to be going forward.
Easily.
Nailed it.
And
Even so to add to your point, they even did the whole Batista overhearing them in the locker room thing with Bailey. Remember that from a few weeks ago? So
yeah,
I love,
Yeah.
and Shawn Michaels did it too with Mello and Trick. You know, he came out with the leather jacket, Mello, and Shawn Michaels, same thing when he turned on Marty Jannetty in the barbershop. So I love Triple H and Shawn Michaels with those little details to some of their
Yeah.
greatest hits in their stories.
Yes.
easily.
That's storytelling.
Obviously, moving on, we talked about Rhea versus Becky.
Mm-hmm.
Do we
Mommy.
think Rhea's gonna retain, or do we think Becky's gonna get a Mania moment? I'll start with Ninja Boy on that one.
Yeah, mommy is always on top, if you know what I mean. Okay.
Oh Lord.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm 16. Okay, and yeah,
Oh boy! Oh my goodness! I feel like an old man now. Good God Almighty!
I'm only 23, so
I'm gonna be 27 years old. So that this kid just
I'm
made me feel
23, so I'm right up
real
there close
old,
to
bro. Real old.
don't worry,
I'll
don't
make
worry.
you feel older, man. I'm 18, so
Oh God,
We're all
guys.
up that little tier.
Oh man, I didn't
Yeah, I
know
know.
this was. I didn't know I was playing daycare today.
Oh, that daycare is crazy.
Hey, okay. My beard makes me look 30, so I kind of am. All right, back to Rhea. Back to Rhea. Rhea Ripley is on a new level. I want her to retain at WrestleMania. If she doesn't retain, I'm not going to be surprised. But of course, I want Rhea to retain. I want her to keep her run going. I want her to maybe even hold it till next year's WrestleMania, the year after that. But of course, I'm being dramatic there. I just want her to have a longer run as champion. And their match at WrestleMania is going to be a banger in the women's division. It's going to hype up the women's division, help the division pretty much because this is a main event match. And yes, I know, Leo, you are wanting Liv to win, but this was
it
the
would have been
bigger
great,
match.
but it is what it is.
Yes, this was the bigger match. You said that on a video that you made, so
Yeah, I did.
I heard you say that, so I knew you could use it. I knew I could use it. I made sure I could use it.
Okay.
Yes, and that's what I think. And if Liv gets added to the match, I'm not going to be surprised if she wins the match. Then the "We Want Liv" has worked. The hashtag "We Want Liv" has worked, and hopefully people don't judge me because I said on the podcast that I wanted Becky to win and that I knew she was going to win, and I've helped kind of start this "We Want Liv," so I hope they don't go like, "Hey, you wanted Becky to win, and now you want Liv? Well, where are you? We want Rocky, and now we want Cody." And I'm like, okay, I get what you mean. I hope that doesn't happen, but those are my thoughts.
Okay.
I like it.
easily. I think obviously, I think Becky will win this match. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if they have Rhea retain, but I do think it is Becky's time. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Becky, so I don't know if her holding a title would go. I
Like
don't know,
man, the man. I'm joking. I'm joking.
but yeah, I think Rhea is gonna lose that match. But with Becky, I don't know where they're gonna go with storylines. Obviously, I don't know. Rhea's had her long reign, so obviously, I would love to see her retain and have her go against Liv Morgan at the following pay per view. But I don't think we're gonna see that. I think we'll see a Becky Lynch title run. Whether or not that goes good or bad, I think time will tell with that one. So, Mike, who do we think's winning that Rhea match?
Man, mommy staying on top, man. That's. I feel like that's too easy. They've been doing this story where Becky, has been barely managing to win the big one. She's fell short a few times. Obviously she got that big win over Liv, but I think mommy wins, stays on top. I don't know. I can't remember
Stays on top. Yeah.
what they did with the lineage of the title. So I know
That
obviously
is the SmackDown Women's Championship.
So it is the SmackDown Women's Championship, which she won at WrestleMania 39 against Charlotte. So they kept that title reign
Lineage, kind of, but they kind of merged it. Yeah,
they merged it. So does that mean that her title reign will effectively be, if she successfully retains at this year's WrestleMania, would that be considered 365 days
it
for
will
the win?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that is why they will have her retain, because they want to have record-breaking women's title runs. They did it with Bianca. I think they're going to do it again with Rhea. And then, inevitably down the line, maybe a Liv Morgan comes in, wins the title, somebody else, pops in. But I think they want to start. We've seen it with the men's, Gunther, Roman, the U.S. title for a little bit there.
The Universal, with Roman, because that
right, exactly. So I think them having a record-breaking reign for Rhea and this Women's World Championship would make a lot of sense and really would help solidify that title's lineage, plus Rhea's stake in being the best woman on top.
Right.
Easily. I'll pass it to Leo now.
I think Rhea's gonna retain. I think if you really think about it, they want people to talk. They want people to be invested in what's going on, especially if she holds that title for 365 days plus. People are going to automatically be talking about that because now she's going to be up there with Bianca and possibly beat her reign, which was about 400 and something days afterwards. So I really feel like what's going to happen is Liv is going to probably eventually get in the mix at some point down the line. I think that's what they're building to. And I think with Liv saying she wants to take everything from Rhea Ripley, I think that is the way to go. Honestly, somebody threw this idea out. I'd say if what's going to be happening with the Judgment Day, I feel like they stay together, right? And this might be fantasy booking. And you guys are free to chime in after I say and give you guys thoughts and opinions. I would like to hear what you guys have to say. But somebody threw around the idea, if with Rhea Ripley being as over as she is and as a face, I can see a situation where she distances herself from the Judgment Day, or she's replaced. And how is she replaced? Liv Morgan becomes the new woman of the Judgment Day. The reason I feel like that could work, because she would have some tie-ins, because her and Dominic, you can have that same relationship that Rhea Ripley and Dominic had, but now it's with Dominic and Liv, because they both went to jail, quote unquote, so they automatically will get along with each other.
Oh, come on.
And plus,
that's out of pocket.
And plus, her and Finn Balor have history going back to 2022 when Judgment Day started to form. Liv Morgan, AJ, and Finn Balor were going up against the Judgment Day. So there's that tie-in. And even Damian Priest. Damian Priest even has a tie-in to Liv Morgan too, because when they were talking about women being part of the Judgment Day, when before Rhea Ripley joined, he was asked literally himself, who would he want to be part of it? And yes, he said Rhea Ripley, but he said if anybody else outside of Ripley were to join, he would like it to be Liv Morgan. So Liv Morgan being a heel that she's going to be, because we already know she's going to turn heel, but what better way to have her be a heel than have her join Judgment Day and they kick out Rhea Ripley, and
I
that's
like
gonna
it.
give them even more heat because Liv Morgan said herself she's gonna take everything that makes her happy from her, and what makes her happy? The Judgment Day and her title and Dominic. She's gonna
Yeah.
take everything one of those things piece by piece until it's nothing left of Rhea Ripley, and you have that match at some point down the line, maybe at SummerSlam this year. I feel like honestly, with their history, if they would have added a stipulation, why don't they make this Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley in a Hell in a Cell match?
Mm.
This could be where I think this should be leading to. I feel like with their history being 2 years at this point, make it a Hell in a Cell match. Make it a Hell in a Cell match. You can keep Rhea Ripley looking strong in defeat. Liv Morgan can use weapons at her disposal. She can use the Judgment Day at her disposal now that
Mm.
she's part of the faction. And now this is you're accomplishing so many different things. You're elevating Liv Morgan. You're getting her instant heel heat because of people who she's aligning herself with. You're giving more sympathy to Rhea Ripley as a baby face, and you're adding more fuel to the fire as a feud between the two, and you're actually doing a whole full circle moment. Rhea Ripley, she joined the Judgment Day because she wanted to get away from Liv Morgan. Now,
Mhm.
if Rhea Ripley turns face and she's trying to be buddy buddy with Liv, and Liv turns on her and joins Judgment Day, or they end up kicking her out. Because if you really think about it, as of this year, she hasn't really been aligned with Judgment Day all too much. She's really been on her own since kind of right before Chamber. She hasn't really been seen with the Judgment Day all too much, and you can kind of tell that there's some dissension being at play here. Everybody's under the assumption that the Judgment Day is going to disband completely. I feel like they're going to be a heel, and then maybe with the way that I see things playing out, not only does Rhea get kicked out, but I think at some point Damien gets kicked out.
I was just thinking
I,
that. I was
I think
Yeah.
just
Damien
thinking
gets
it.
kicked out, and you can add someone. Maybe you can add a Dijak. If
Or an
Dijak gets called up,
Andrade.
if Dijak comes up from NXT, have him be that big man over there. I think that'd be
Mm.
something interesting. And now you have Liv Morgan, Finn Balor, and JD. Sign me up. That's an
Hmm.
instant way to kind of get Liv Morgan elevated even more now that she can be protected by a faction, and now that she has all these tie-ins that realistically make sense since they've been kind of telling over the last couple of years. So I think this is the angle that they're probably going to go with. Liv is going to win that championship, but she's going to be aligned with the Judgment Day before it happens.
It's funny because when you initially said it about 5-10 minutes ago, whatever it was, when you had said, Liv turning heel, the thought popped in my head. I was like, what if Liv replaces Rhea in the Judgment Day?
That's what I
You
think.
know? And I think so. So Rosenberg, I don't know if you guys know about Rosenberg, the guy, Peter Rosenberg. He
Yeah.
actually suggested on social media that Dom turn on Rhea and bring in Vicky Guerrero. But
Oh
obviously,
no.
yeah, I
No.
said no. I was like, no, but I do agree to that at the beginning part. I would like to see Dom turn on Rhea. I think that's
Yeah.
a good story in itself as well, potentially
Dom
costing her the
versus Rhea?
championship down the line. Maybe fall in line and put the puzzle pieces together with you saying Liv joins the Judgment Day. There it is. Dom screws Rhea. Liv becomes champ. She
And
joins.
she
Rhea's
becomes the
out.
new mommy. She becomes Dom's new
Exactly. She
mommy.
becomes Dom's new mommy.
If
I
that
like
shirt
it.
comes out, I'm gonna wear it.
Leo's
I like
cooking.
that.
Leo, you're cooking,
like
bro. You're cooking.
Liv is mommy.
And I think with RC kicking Priest, though, I think that's gonna happen whenever, he cashes in. He's had like 20 failed. So I think once he cashes in, whether he wins the title or not, I think it's gonna be a failed cash in, to be honest.
Or a short
But,
title reign.
I do
Yeah.
think we are gonna see a Finn Balor versus Priest match at some point. They were pushing for it, a couple months back. They were,
Yeah.
fighting with each other. But I do think the ultimate goal with the pairing is they're gonna go Priest versus Finn Balor. Obviously, it's fantasy booking, but I'd love to see a Finn versus Priest match maybe at SummerSlam. But I don't know if they're gonna do it that quickly. But I do think I do like what Leo was cooking there with the Liv Morgan.
I just thought about
I
something
do.
though that I forgot to throw in.
I'll throw in, Leo.
So if she does go on this run, I think they add another women at some point. I feel like if you have this match with Rhea and Liv, what is something that Rhea does? She always kind of has some type of interference to help her. And that comes back to backstabber because they can have a situation where pretty much, the judgment they can't get to interfere. But Liv, she's known to do some tricky stuff at times when she really wants it, when she's back in the corner. And I feel like they've kind of teased this because I think these two kind of actually were good together. I think add a new woman to the faction at some point after Liv's already joined, because that would be something interesting. And who else joins? A returning Alexa Bliss comes back,
Ooh.
and now you have Liv Morgan in the Judgment Day, Alexa Bliss in Judgment Day, JD, Finn, Dijak, all of them in the same faction together. All of them.
I wouldn't
I
mind
think.
2 women in the Judgment Day, because
I
then they could
mean,
go for the
because
tag titles. Then they can start rocking the tag titles, and then
I
you
was
could
gonna
really
say,
say,
yeah,
part.
I'm mad at that. I was thinking Tatum Paxley too.
That's a good one.
That was
Or
a
Cora Jade.
or Cora Jade
Or
when she comes
Roxanne
back.
Perez.
I love this new Roxanne Perez. Are you guys NXT?
Yeah, I watch it. I
Yeah.
watch it. I
Oh
really
hell
do.
yeah,
I
that's
like
what
it.
I
I'm
like to
loving
hear.
it. I'm loving her character. I'm loving her character.
oh,
NXT man,
I don't want
don't sleep on NXT.
Yeah, don't say my next thing. What I'm trying to say is, I want to see Booker T have a segment with Roxanne saying, "Roxanne, what the hell are you doing? This is not the Roxanne that I trained. This is
Yeah,
not the Roxanne that I trained to become NXT Women's Champion, NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. What has gone into you? Like, why are you doing this? Like, this is
I
not the
took their
Roxanne.
advice to be more ruthless.
yeah.
This
I think that's a good segment. I like that. Good
that was
idea.
a good segment.
Also, just imagine the different dialogue that you could have. Like, if Liv was to turn heel and join Judgment Day, y'all can't tell me that would not get her instant heel heat because people kind of already boo her as it is already. If you look at Raw, because I was there, she was getting booed. She was getting booed. There was a very few cheers, but the majority were boos. She can play into that and go all in with it. She can join the Judgment Day, or she can start her own faction. I think if you wanted to, you bring up Cora Jade when she's ready, have her be part of the faction, Alexa Bliss, and maybe a Tatum Paxley or Roxanne Perez. I think any
I
one of
don't
those
mind
women
that.
are dark could be interesting because you can have what kind of like who wouldn't be all for like a women's idea of having a women's faction kind of rule the divisions on Raw or SmackDown where they are because I like what they were doing with Toxic Attraction. That's what
Yeah,
I loved, and it sucked that they didn't keep Mandy Rose because I would love to see where she would be at right now in WWE if they would have kept them the way they were and how Toxic Attraction could have been on the main roster. Just imagine Toxic Attraction versus Damage Control. Like that could have been something
damn, bro.
interesting.
Yeah, you
Like
made
the
me
WWE just
upset
missed
thinking
out.
about that. Damn,
I
now you
was
got me
upset,
upset thinking about that.
but I do think Liv definitely should join Judgment Day. I think that's something I've been kind of fantasy booking in the back of my mind for like 2 years now because I think Rhea Ripley she wanted to bring Liv Morgan in there. I think right after she was getting booed after that whole debacle at SummerSlam that year, where kind of they had that wonky finish, people were booing her, and then I think she kind of went to bat for Liv and said, "There's always a spot for you in Judgment Day." She said there was her own words. Now, what if that does come back to fruition? Rhea Ripley's words come back to haunt her. There's always a spot for you in the Judgment Day. And she takes up on the offer, but not in the way she thinks. You're out. I'm in. Exactly, Mike.
I see
Exactly.
you, Leo. I see you, my dude. I like it. Spit that fire, dog. Spit that
Leo's gotta
fire.
join the creative team.
Get him on. Give him the pen, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have any pens on my
Hey,
desk, believe it or not.
hey,
I
let
just
me
got
work.
And moving the chains along, obviously we got this huge match with Seth Rollins and Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre. Obviously they've had some really, really good promos
Yeah.
building up to this. Obviously Seth's going on night 1. I think will probably fight on night 2 for the title.
Co-main
but
event night 2.
co-main event. Yep.
Yeah, but I do hope we see Drew get that win, and I'm hoping Priest stays away from this match. And I hope obviously Seth has issues with the bloodline. I hope they stay out. I hope it's just a
Senor
one-on-one,
Money in the Bank.
him and Drew, and I hope Drew gets that win, so gets his moment. Last time he was in a crowd of screens, so hope he gets his moment in front of like 40,000 people.
Look, I'm
And
afraid I've got some bad news.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Drew's winning that title, and then Senor Money in the Bank coming out. Whether it's
No,
a
no, no.
successful or a failed, I think
You're onto
Priest
something.
is coming
You're
out.
onto
It's gonna
something.
happen.
I feel like Priest is gonna pull a Seth Rollins, and it's not gonna work because look at what Priest
Yeah.
has done. Every
I
time
have
he
been
gets,
saying that for
because
weeks,
Priest,
dude.
because Priest every time Seth and Drew fought, Priest got involved and cost Drew the match. So I do think he's gonna pull a Seth Rollins, but only it's gonna be his downfall. He does get pinned by Drew McIntyre. Seth doesn't get pinned. Drew pins Priest to become world champion
Interesting.
because I feel like
So the reverse heist of the
exactly.
century. I like
But
it.
then I feel like he's gonna add some more to his arsenal. I feel like Drew is gonna revert back to the Broken Dreams theme song. I
Ooh.
feel like what better way to have the crowd pro Drew, because the song would definitely fit his character. Broken Dreams, CM Punk not being able to get his WrestleMania spot, Broken Dreams taking
Oh.
away Rollins' opportunity of being world champion any longer. Broken Dreams, and what happens with Priest? Broken Dreams because he ain't winning that world championship.
Is mine. Yeah, like CM Punk. Whoa, what was yours now is mine.
Exactly.
There you
Exactly.
That's
Because I
good.
feel like Drew has to win. If you just have this man lose again, what was the absolute point of
No,
anything at
100%.
this
He
point?
has to win. He has to
It's
win.
all or nothing.
And it
Because
is.
Seth disrespected this man on Raw. He said, "You're the least of my worries. You're at the bottom of my list." He gave this man no acknowledgement. He disrespected him times 10. You're honestly thinking Drew is not going to win this? You're tripping. You're tripping if
Yeah.
you think Drew is not walking out with that world title and getting this moment in front of the crowd, which he should have gotten realistically at WrestleMania 36.
Absolutely.
But that's a whole different situation. But still, he needs his win. Like literally, if you want to keep this guy in the WWE, if his contract is still expiring, you got to pull the trigger right now.
Easily, and I'm just gonna throw something out there for some fantasy booking.
Okay.
Obviously, we see CM Punk returning on Raw at the 25th. Do we see him possibly becoming a referee for the Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre matchup? Obviously, he hates both of them.
Ooh.
So I think just throwing him in the mix would be a very interesting story to build out with.
Special guest referee.
Is he counting? Which arm is he counting with? I don't know which arm is
Nah,
the torn
special
triceps.
guest commentator. He's a
There it
have
is.
him on commentary.
I
Have him on
think commentary
commentary.
is the move.
Like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like ultimate end goal is the Drew Punk SummerSlam World Heavyweight Championship.
Or host, maybe.
Well,
But I think they might put Cena.
I think
Yeah.
Cena is your host of Mania this year. Unless the Miz
Yeah,
does
I
it
do
again. I
think
feel
that.
bad for poor Miz. Miz
How will we see him?
Miz
How
is
would-
gonna be. Miz is gonna be.
Miz
in
will
that
probably be in the
ladder
ladder match.
Exactly.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Awesome Truth for the win.
Awesome Truth, man. I saw a lot of fans not really having a positive reception to the Truth Miz revival, and I wasn't really a fan of like the fan reception of that because I'm like,
Me either. Because
I
Did you guys
love that
remember,
tag
like-
they were
team.
very. It's
they
crazy.
were so
I-
entertaining,
it-
dude.
it-
Our Truth
it
was
was
smoking
entertaining back in the day.
cigarettes ringside during that 2013. Do you guys
was-
please tell me you remember this?
I remember
Yeah,
that
I
like
do,
when
I
he
do,
first
I do.
turned heel,
Please.
and he had that match with Cena at Capital Punishment that year for
Oh
the WWE
my
Championship.
God.
That year when he was like a heel and he aligned himself with Miz and they were just attacking people.
So
That
good.
was so fire. Back then, I wanted them to win the tag titles. You see how big of a star that they were. That the fact that they had them compete at the year Survivor Series with Cena and Rock, as they were
Insane.
building Rock and Cena for WrestleMania 28. Like, come on, you guys.
It was insane.
Like,
I love this. I
and
love
the
them,
thing is,
dude.
you gotta. Here's the thing. Here's a crazy thing I thought about. Our Truth has never won a match at WrestleMania.
What?
Had a match?
think it's
Has
gonna
he
be
ever
this
even Had a
year.
match
No,
at WrestleMania? Truth?
I
I don't
don't-
think so.
I don't think. No, he's competed. He's never won at WrestleMania. He's competed in the Intercontinental Championship ladder match at
Oh, you're
WrestleMania
right, he
31 that year.
did.
And he was
He
in the
did.
Andre the Giant Battle Royals and stuff. But
Yeah,
he's never
32
really-
Andre the Battle Royal. Yep.
yeah, and then 33 he was there. 34 I think he was there. So he's always been in these Battle Royals. This would be a great way to give him an opportunity to win a tag team title Because I feel
Yeah, I
like
think
he's
he's
just
gonna.
definitely one of the more over people in the company right now.
Oh, he had a 26, so he's had a few WrestleManias, but never a win.
Nope.
I think it is gonna come. I do see the Miz and R-Truth winning that ladder match. I just
But
really think.
how do they go with the splitting? Because I've seen people have this idea if they have 4 titles,
Hanging.
they pull down the titles and then another team pulls down the other, and that's how you split it. I don't like that idea. I'm
It's
sorry.
cheap. That's a cheap
That's
way to
cheap.
do
Yeah, I
it.
know.
It
If they
is.
wanted to legitimately split the titles, they should have done it at the draft last year.
That's so what I
Yeah.
said was in the last few weeks, I actually said this on my show. I said the way they should have split this was the same way that Aldis had come up to Pierce a few months ago when they had kind of first started the whole separate GMs thing. If I would have had Aldis come to Pierce and say, "Hey, buddy, I want a set of tag titles on my show. Your teams are hogging my SmackDown tag titles. I want the tag titles on my show." Judgment Day are a drafted Raw team. They retain the Raw tag titles. They relinquish the SmackDown tag titles. And then a tournament could have been had on SmackDown with all of those teams competing to then crown a new SmackDown tag team champion at WrestleMania. That's what I thought we were going to do.
But no.
No, instead, I feel they're going to pull the cheap method and you're going to have Awesome Truth grab the Raw tag titles. And maybe you got the new Catch Republic on the SmackDown
Oh,
side.
Lord.
Or
Don't do that.
Delgado. And they're going to both pull it and they're going to be like, well, looks like we split them. I really hope not, but I've seen that theory
Don't
popped
do
out
that.
there, man.
I
I've
would be
seen
so
it.
confused. If they want to keep these things going, honestly, just wait till the draft. You can have them settle it then. Because they kind of
Exactly.
did that last year, kind of an extent. And please, no. Do not somebody even throw this idea at me. Do not have a championship swap. No more championship swaps. I don't want to see that no more. I'm sorry. If you do that, I'm turning off the television. I don't want to see that. I'm sorry. No. I don't even want to see that at Mania and then having people put on 2 separate titles. No.
I agree. It's cheap. It's not the way to do it.
That's
Yeah,
lazy.
I loved watching when, it was just one. It was 2 titles, but not like it was just one combined. It wasn't like they're holding like 2 titles. I think it's just very stupid, and I hope they go back to just the one tag team title, and I don't know how they're gonna do that, but I don't know.
I mean, if they wanted to unify them, they would have already had new designs for the tag titles, like when they dropped all the world heavyweight titles and everything back then. That's what made me believe where I was like, they're going to split these tag titles inevitably, eventually, but it, still hasn't happened now. So unless they unveil a new title at Mania and then that's hanging above the ring, possibly, but I just figured the way they kept them split, I figured they were going to split them eventually since they didn't come up with new designs for them. Plus,
And
I'm in the minority here. I've come to deal with them these last years.
yeah,
But those penny belts, man, them nickel belts.
I don't want to see.
I don't
Legos.
like them anymore, man. Like
don't-
we need
they need to
WWE Tag Team Champions,
Revert back to the old
WWE
ones.
World Tag Team Champions. That's
Remember
what they
the
should
world
be called.
ones? Remember the world tag
Yeah.
titles we had in the
Hell
Attitude
yeah.
Era, like
Hell
they
yeah.
had the 2 different ones. That's cool.
That's what we need.
And it's somebody, and this is where I feel like they're probably gonna do that stupid idea because literally on Raw, they were talk the Judgment Day of Finn Balor and Damien Priest were talking to them. Why do we have to defend both of our tag titles? So I'm like, oh my god, I'm in the arena and I'm like, no, please no, I don't want to see that. He even alluded to it because now it's in my back of my head that they're gonna go with this because now he said we have to defend both of our tag titles in a ladder match. I'm like,
They're
okay.
getting split one way or another at Mania somehow.
Oh Lord,
Coming.
just spare me the lecture. Just make a new tag title for SmackDown and just have a new overhaul. Honestly, have the world tag team titles.
I
for Raw.
personally would think that if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna come up with new tag titles, make the tag titles look similar to the Raw, the men's heavyweight championship and the women's heavyweight championship, right? If they're gonna go with the similar designs for all the titles like they've been doing, how the women's and the men's look the same, make the tag titles in that similar connotation, the World Tag Team Champions, and then the WWE Tag Team Champions, and make those titles similar to what the main single titles look like, or keep
Kinda
your
do
nickel
or
belts.
I would
which
say,
I don't think they look right anymore.
Remember the attitude,
Yeah.
the ruthless aggression
The
ones like we had the
2008,
SmackDown.
2009 tag
Bring
titles. Yes,
those
sir.
back. Bring those back. Have like the red one with the one that had the little red in it be for Raw, but
Yeah.
more updated, and have the one with the blue in it more updated for SmackDown. It can help the tag titles look different, but still stand out amongst the other
Exactly.
ones. Because not every championship needs to look the same realistically. I get it. UFC kind of does that thing, does it, but not every championship needs to look the same. You need to have like that one championship that can stand out among everybody else. So let the tag titles kind of revert back to what they used to be before they started doing the pennies and then these quarter championships. Like I don't want to see these blueberry look-alike tag titles and this raspberry. What am I eating? Fruit Loops?
Yeah, for real.
Like, come on.
I agree.
Wait. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Like, I don't need that in my life. I'm sorry. You can
You sound
can
like the Rock
promote something
right
else.
there. Not gonna lie, you sound like the Rock right there. Like mentioning Fruitios, like back in that feud scene, it's like that little kid came in dressed up as John Cena, saying, "Hey," and the Rock was like, "Hey, you want this Fruity Pebbles? Take them, little kid." You were kind of sounding like that, Leo, like pretending you were talking that, giving that kid some Fruitios or
I'm
something.
talking about The Rock here. Obviously, we can the two biggest matches.
Oh,
I'd say the
that
tag
concert,
team match.
that
Oh,
concert he had.
Now I got some fantasy booking for this one.
so I think we're gonna get night one. I think The Rock's gonna pin Cody.
Yep.
Moving into night two, we're gonna have a Bloodlines rules match, and that's where I think we're ultimately gonna see The Rock turn on Roman, and wherever that goes, I think we're finally gonna get Cody his moment and finally finish the story, the 2 year story. But I'll
Yeah.
pass it to Leo because you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah. So what has Roman's whole thing been? He's pretty much want all the adulation and the acknowledgement for himself. He wants everybody to acknowledge him. He asked The Rock to acknowledge him. He wanted The Rock to feed into his ego, which he did. And I feel like Roman is going to want to pin Cody just so he can rub it in his face going into night two. But I think it's a situation maybe where some outside interference is going to come into play in that tag match where Roman spears Cody, and then when he tries to go for the pin, before he tries to go for another spear, he gets tagged in. Rock tags himself in, and then hits the Rock bottom to get the pin. And Roman's kind of looking at him a little iffy, like, "Why would you do that?" But here's where I'm gonna throw everybody off. Now look, we're gonna take everybody on a roller coaster of emotions right now. Everybody's on the fence that when we have this ultimate feud with Rock and Roman, Rock is going to be a face and Roman's be a heel. But no, no, no. I'm going to take everybody on a ride of emotions. I feel like Rock is going to turn on Roman, helping him Cody win, and Roman's going to take some time off, but he's going to get attacked because now the people that were in his family are siding with The Rock. They beat up Roman, and now we're seeing a heel bloodline. And Roman, he's going to come back down the line as a baby face, and we're going to get a baby face Roman against a heel Rock because
Hmm.
I feel like at SummerSlam, right? Here's what I think is going to happen. If Rock pins Cody and Cody gets that championship, I think at SummerSlam we get Rock versus Cody. And then he can say, "I pinned you on night one. I should get an opportunity at title. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have finished your story, even though I didn't want you to finish your story to begin with." And then we have Jimmy on his side and Solo on his side. And at some point, Tamatanga is gonna probably come in, and he's probably gonna be on the side of
No,
Rock as well.
he's a
So
son.
what I think, yeah, and I think what happens when Rock looks like he's about to win that championship at SummerSlam, who comes back and screws it all up? Roman Reigns returns at SummerSlam because there's a tie-in. He returned at SummerSlam in 2020, and 4 years later, he returns at SummerSlam to screw over Rock after attacking him. And now you have this whole storyline going into the fall about with Rock and Roman because now Roman is a babyface. His whole story is trying to be forgiven by those he has wronged, and you build this up going into Survivor Series, we have Team Rock versus Team Roman War Games. I feel like they need to do
Oh,
something with this at War Games.
huh.
And you have Team Roman consisting of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. The people he has wronged in the past, can he actually have those he has wronged forgiven? You had that whole dynamic where Sammy is not too on the fence of Roman after what he's been put through. You have the whole thing with Jay already there. You have what anybody knows the story between him and Cody. It's all there. And what happens? Team Cody or Team Roman loses at Survivor Series, and that gives the edge going into Rumble next year. And what is the final scene that we're going to get into? We're going to kind of wrap that up. But at 41, he beats Rock. We see babyface Roman beat Rock, and then before 41 ends, the whole Bloodline saga comes to an end. Well, it continues, but Roman Reigns passes down the tribal chief and head of the table thing down to none other than where it all started. Main event, Jey Uso. He passes down, and now the new bloodline is a babyface because Roman Reigns passes down being tribal chief to Jey Uso. It all started with Jey. It all ends with Jey. And before it all ends at WrestleMania 41, the final thing you hear before it goes off the air, Roman tells everybody that he is sorry for what he's put them through, and he acknowledges each and every one of them, and he puts the lei around Jey Uso and says, Jey, he tells him, I love him. And he says, I acknowledge you. And you go off the air with the newly reformed bloodline and the family members all around with the happy ending to this whole bloodline story coming to an end at WrestleMania 41.
I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that at all. That's pretty solid, dude. That's very well fleshed out. I mean, obviously there's some plot holes, but we're not going to look at the details of it. But
Yeah.
I very well could see that being a possibility. I myself am in the bracket where I would consider there's something fishy happening with the bloodline. Whether The Rock has his own bloodline that he's gonna instill and call on his own members. You've got the 252 brothers out there, reality of wrestling with Booker T.
Well, they're not there, but
wherever they are, if they're
Tonga will be
MNLW,
probably.
yeah, Tom. So I mean, they're whatever. We'll see what happens with that. I know there's a lot of rumors
made a
about
great point
Zilla and.
You just made
but
a
I
great point that you just made a
go
great
ahead,
point,
shoot.
Mike.
Go ahead.
Because what happened on SmackDown? He said on camera, he didn't acknowledge the bloodline. He didn't acknowledge Roman or anything. He says, "Can you smell what the final boss is cooking?"
Mhm.
When he said that, I'm like, yeah, something's gonna definitely happen with these two going to Mania or at Mania, because there's no way you just say you're the final boss. You got to understand that Roman's gonna probably feel some type of what was said with The Rock. Something's
Absolutely.
gonna happen, and that's gonna spoil over into like a feud later this year.
I think if we were to sit in if I were to sit in any direction about this story, I think you could possibly see The Rock convince Solo to join his side, and then you see with your booking, fantasy booking, I think Roman will lose the bloodline, whether it's at the end of this WrestleMania or coming out of WrestleMania. I think Roman will have no bloodline for the foreseeable future. And then maybe there's a reunion down the line with the family, but it's definitely something to take notice of for sure with the Rock and throwing up the L.
Yeah, that's got to be something that people are. It's like a little tease, or
it's an Easter egg or something.
It's an Easter egg, yeah. Because I think that something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. But like, I feel like I wanted to kind of throw that out there because I feel like it could happen, and I think everybody's kind of on the fence that like we know when this feud happens, Rock is gonna be a face and Roman is a heel. Why not swerve everybody? Give something that we wouldn't expect. Like nobody would expect Roman turning back to being a face, and he can still keep this whole tribal chief gimmick, but more catered to the fans as a face. Because I think people like Roman Reigns, they respect Roman Reigns, And I think people really want to cheer Roman Reigns. I think it's a situation that the material he's been given to where he has to come off as a heel. So I feel like this is something that people wouldn't expect. And the whole thing about WrestleMania is anything can happen. Anything can happen. Debuts, returns, heel turns, face turns, the whole 9 yards. Anything can happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if we all think that, we know Cody's gonna win. He definitely has to, because if he doesn't, what was the point of bringing him back to begin with if he's just gonna lose time and time again if the championship was on the line? Like we can't just sit up here. Like, that'd be a whole 2-year story down the drain. And let's be honest, if he loses, I don't think anybody is going to care about him finishing that story at all. You're not. People are not going to care.
There's certainly a chance that could happen where it falls flat, and people are they lose interest. They're like, well, we've told you for 2 years now we wanted Cody, but you can't, you're not giving it to us. I like it, man. And dare I say, you said something that I was thinking here. Roman turns into face, obviously the tribal chief can't really be called the tribal chief. Well, if he's feuding with the people's champ, he could become the people's chief.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good nickname. Now that's a shirt I can buy.
Wait, speaking of shirts, when are we gonna get Cody Crybaby merch? I want to wear that for WrestleMania. When are we gonna get that?
I don't know. They be coming up with so many different shirts, dude. I might wear that shirt where Rock was slapping Cody on the shirt. I might have to get that.
Wait, that actually exists?
Yeah, it's a shirt where it literally says where Rock slaps Cody and has a phrase. It's a cartoonish character where he says, "You're all a crybabies," and then there's another one where Cody slaps Rock and he says, "Be prepared to finish the story of Kingdom."
It says, "Get ready to learn the lyrics to Kingdom," and it's a play on the old Batman and Robin comic meme that has been recycled through the internet. Well, so I really like that. That was a good.
I gotta ask you guys something. So, what did you guys think of The Rock's concert on SmackDown this time?
It was funny.
Oh, hilarious!
But dude,
John Morant references.
John Morant caught us straight.
He just referenced John Morant. That's crazy. He referenced Stardust. He referenced his mama. This dude, really right now, Rock has true Black Force energy. Cody, I'm sorry. Cody.
He's Samoan.
Not the Black Air Force energy, bro. I can't with you.
But Cody, no more crying, my guy. No more crying. Do not come on Raw. Do not come on SmackDown with that crying. No, I'm not. No. You need to come out ready to fight both Roman and pretty much Rock. Everybody. Because you just let this man disrespect your family, your dog, and now your mom. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's not professional anymore.
And we got this man singing Moana too to end it, to cap it all off.
As soon as Rock steps out of the locker room or his quote unquote ride, it's on site.
It better be, dude. I swear, dude. Cody better be ready to rock and roll as soon as that entrance hits at Mania, dog. He better be ready, bro. He better be running up that 300-foot ramp right to him.
Oh, their entrance is gonna be long.
Oh, I can't wait to see what that stage looks like, dude. I hope it's a giant
50-minute match. 50-minute match, 30-minute entrance. Only 20 minutes of in-ring action.
We're going Undertaker level entrances there.
Roman is going to be a long time. It takes him about 15 minutes to get to the ring.
Especially with the huge ramp. Since it's so much longer.
Oh, I can't wait to see what the WrestleMania setup is, man. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, it is
beautiful.
It's going to be beautiful. I actually like that set, the way it's going to probably look.
I need me a big Liberty Bell, man. I need a big Liberty Bell somewhere.
You can't go wrong with that, though.
No, absolutely
But I'm more
not.
of the OG. Like, if I would collect belts, I want to collect the spinner because that was the one I grew up with. Like, the world heavyweight title, the old US, like the one you seen, Eddie, Booker T. Like, that's like one of my favorites in my collection. And the white strap Intercontinental title. Like, those are just my favorites, like, easily. And your ECW title, like, not the one they had in 2010. That was atrocious. The one that you seen, like, around the waist of the legends. You know what I mean? Like your RVD from One Night Stand, that belt. The one you see on CM Punk, that belt. Those are my favorite ones. But that black and silver, not a fan. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. What are we doing? That look like you just went to a pawn shop and just said, Oh, I need a title belt. Can you guys give me one? And it was there. No thought, no effort, nothing.
And I'm glad it's in the Eagle Stadium because I love these outdoor events. I've always loved the outdoor looks of these events. So I'm glad it's in the Eagle Stadium. Those Philly fans would be going nuts.
Dog,
So.
I'm not. I'm mixed bag on that, dude, because the last two Manias I've been was Dallas and LA. Indoor, beautiful weather. Didn't have to worry about wearing hoodies and jackets. Pennsylvania is a beast when it comes to weather. I don't know where you guys are at, but I'm from the East Coast originally. I'm from Pennsylvania. And let me tell you something right here, brother. That weather can be 60 degrees and sunny, or it could be 30 degrees and snowing in April. So that's the real wild card for WrestleMania. That's what concerns me.
Oh,
Everything
you.
else, matches, all
Yep.
that, I'm ready to go, baby.
Yeah, easily.
Yep, I'm over here in Massachusetts, so
Oh, so
I know about the
you
weather.
know how
so,
that
yeah.
weather is, man. It's just
Yeah.
the East Coast gets nuts at this time. I think you guys just had some cold 20-degree weather the other night.
Yeah.
Ours can get.
It's
I
insane.
mean, ours probably don't get as cold as y'all, but when it gets cold down here, it can get cold. Like I'm out here in Texas, so it can get cold
Oh,
when it
yeah.
really wants to. Like I remember, like 2021, we were literally without power for almost the whole week because literally how
With
cold
that
it was.
freezing, right? Everything froze, the power line, the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were like without power for at least like half the week. I couldn't watch Raw. I couldn't watch NXT. I didn't even get to watch AEW. None of that. I didn't think. I think our power didn't come back on until like Thursday, like close to
Damn.
like 11 o'clock. So we didn't really have much at all. I had to literally sleep in the car. That's how cold it was. I was not in. I was not doing it because I was gonna watch wrestling regardless any way I could. If it means I had to sleep in the car all night and pull an all nighter, so
Damn.
be it.
That's for the love of the game. I respect that, dude.
And I guess we can wrap it up. I'll let you guys shout out any channels you guys got here. I'll start with you, Leo. If you want to shout out anything you got.
Yeah, so my channel is Kicking It with Leo. I do wrestling content. I'm doing a lot of different things this week as we head into WrestleMania. Probably do some fantasy booking videos and how some of these matches I feel like it's gonna be happening. Um, Probably I'm on the road to 200 subscribers. But the ultimate goal is 10K. When I do hit 10K, I'm gonna be doing a giveaway where one lucky fan will have the opportunity to win a WWE title from WWE Shop. So if you guys want an opportunity to win it, go subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. So let's get that 10K mark by the end of this year.
Hell yeah, bro.
Easily.
Hell yeah.
I'll pass it to you now, Mike.
You guys can find me at MOWM_podcast for social media. If you're looking for my content, it's across every platform you can find. So just search Mouthing Off with Mike on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all of the above. I want to thank you guys for having me on your show today. I really appreciate the time and getting the chat bit up with you guys. It's the first time we ever got to do it. I hope it won't certainly be the last time. So thank you guys for allowing me to be on your show.
No problem. And I'll pass it to Ninja Boy.
Yes, man. It was a pleasure to be on this podcast. I've wanted to be on this podcast ever since you guys came out. I've just been waiting for an invitation. And thank you so much, man. You guys can find me on every single social media platform: Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, and of course, Instagram, all wrestling. So thank you very much for having me. And I don't know if I'll be on the podcast next week, but maybe the week after. Thank you for having me. And I had a great time. We're wrestling forever.
Yep. We lost Anthony during this connection issue, so he's usually on with us. Obviously not today. So
I was about to ask for it.
yeah, he was texting me panicking. I was like, "You're fine." And I'll thank everyone for coming on. I'll obviously you guys are welcome to come on. Every Saturday night we do this, so it was very enjoyable hearing Leo's storyline cooking. So
Yeah.
but again, thank you everyone who watched. Thank you 3 for coming on. Just leave us a message. We'll probably reach out to you guys to come back on at some point. And with that, thank you everyone who watched, and hope you guys enjoyed this. Peace out.